Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Noise Brigade. It is me, Bobby, and your now permanent co-host, Tom.
Yo, what's going on, everyone?
Well, this is the new format going forward. It's going to be the two of us because let's face it, nobody wants to just hear me babble on by myself for however long I decide to talk. So this will
And
be a little bit
let's
more interesting.
let's preface that too with, so we've done several of these just kind of, talking about video games and wrestling and whatever. And I know you kind of went back and forth about just giving up on this completely. And it was kind of funny because I was like, I kind of want to start one, but I really don't want to do it by myself. And then that was because like, oh, that's why I want to jump on it. Because I think you and I could just go back and forth, and whether we have one listener, five listeners, or 100, it really doesn't matter. It's like hanging out and talking about really weird things. So
Yeah, yeah.
why not? Let's do it.
No, I'm on board, man. So I guess we'll kick this one off with no pun intended. So we talked on one of the first ones we did. We talked about the top 10 sports games that we liked, and I was talking about NFL 2K5 and how I've been in so many seasons now that I'm starting to see these weird glitches, um, different stuff like players lining up out of formation from the start and all that stuff. Well, the I've started my 2009 season, and I don't know if this is a glitch or if it's just been coincidence or if 2K thought that every single day of the year in the year 2009 it was going to rain, but literally every game that I've played from preseason until I think I'm in like week 7 now. The only game it hasn't rained was when I played in the old Texas stadium that Dallas played in that had the roof with the giant hole in it for some reason, which if I don't remember if they can have weather effects in that stadium or not, but aside from that one game, every single game has had rain, and it's not
Wow.
been like light rain. It's been like, Chris Berman before, and I swear to God, this actually happens. If you play the game and you play in heavy rain, doesn't matter if it's August or January. Chris Berman sings, "Oh, the weather outside is frightful." I'm like, dude, no, just stop. Boomer, knock it off.
Yeah, it's funny, we put together the note sheet here, and you wanted to, mention that. And before we started, podcasting and recording this, I was like, yeah, I need to hear about this because, this was new to me. I know that 2K5, mostly through you, but from playing it myself, had its share of glitches. Now, they were always kind of funny. And, you know, the funny thing is that I was gonna kind of put a note in here, but it's not related to sports games, but it was related to like a recent glitch that I discovered in the game, and I just had never seen it happen before. So um, I restarted Skyrim, the special edition on PS4,
Okay.
and I'm like in the 20s on my character, and I'm roaming around last night, and I thing I've really liked doing lately with my shout is just to freeze people, and so like they become like this basically like a block of ice. Well, two things happened last night almost within 30 minutes. One, I did that to somebody, and they died standing up, which I've never seen before. So like they were just like standing up like an NPC, but they were dead, and I thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah.
And within like I said, within 30 minutes, which I thought this was strange too. And I've seen this happen before with certain things, so it really wasn't that big of a deal, but I've just never seen it before with a body. Um, and I don't know what happened, but I froze them and they died and they were in midair.
Huh.
So and the funny thing is I've never really played that game noticing too many glitches. I just thought it was the guy standing up was great because he would look completely alive. But you could search him, and yeah, he wasn't moving.
Nice. I mean, see,
So
and whenever I think of Skyrim, I think two things. Number one, the meme with the, people, it's the two dudes from West Coast Customs or whatever, the father and the son for the motor, or what is that motorcycle?
Oh, Orange County Choppers.
Yeah, there you go,
Yeah.
talking about, I can't get Skyrim to run properly on this piece of crap PC. He goes, well, how many mods you have running? And he goes, they're all to improve the clarity or whatever. And he goes, your mud crabs have monocles and top hats. And then the other dude goes, the mud crabs are a proud and fancy people. And so I see that. And then I, of course, see the ones where they put Thomas the Tank Engine as like the dragons.
Yeah.
And,
You've seen the Macho Man dragons, right?
Up to the Macho Man dragon.
Yeah. That's so good. And I think that's a good segue too. Hey, look at that. We're getting professional with this.
Oh my God, look at that.
What happened? Fastlane happened tonight.
Yes.
So, I was in on a couple minutes on the esports episode, but prior to that, we did an after show on the Royal Rumble. And so it's kind of funny that we're all that time since passed, and here we are on Fastlane night. So I know the funny thing is, though, is you texted me and were like, hey, I'll be good to go after Fastlane. And I was like, oh, thinking to myself, I didn't even realize it was on.
Well, dude, I didn't until I forget what site I was on, and I was reading something, or maybe I was watching one of the What Culture guys, and they were talking about, oh yeah, Fastlane this weekend. I'm like, oh yeah, Fastlane. And so, I tuned in late, obviously, caught a couple matches. It was, I mean, here's the thing with Fastlane. You and I both know this. No one really cares.
Right. Yeah.
It's the Fastlane is the speed bump on the way to WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's a glorified SmackDown or Raw. I mean, it really is. Not a whole lot there to it.
Now you saw Orton versus Alexa Bliss.
Right, and that'll segue back into something else later, so kids, stay tuned. Yeah. And I watched, it's funny because I knew knowing the match was, I knew about the match obviously going into it, but really watching that though, that really only logically ended with Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, whatever you call him, making some kind of return. And well,
right,
I don't know. You watched that, right? I mean,
oh my God, like I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't know how. I knew it was going to. I don't know, man. I'm so torn on it.
It's hard because I really loved him with, just obviously his Bray Wyatt and Wyatt family, and rest in peace, Harper. And I actually enjoyed the first, initial incarnation of the Fiend. Thought that was great. Up until they started getting into some really, I don't know, like that one match when he had with Seth Rollins and, beating him with the toolbox and that stuff. And then now his return here, and it's like, it's such a shame because you have such a talent that's just seems, I don't know, it's like very gimmicky in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't mind supernatural characters.
Right. I don't either. Obviously, Undertaker,
right,
whoever,
but it's got to be done right. And they've been so back and forth with how they've treated him and how they've getting back to the Seth Rollins match. Rollins won that match. There was no need for Rollins to win that match. You were trying to build this guy as an unkillable, unbeatable monster, and you had him job out to Seth Rollins.
Right.
In how many weeks of debuting?
It was what, 2 months maybe?
Yeah. So how is this guy an unbeatable, unkillable monster? Why am I supposed to be afraid every time this guy steps in a ring if he's getting beat by ordinary human Seth Rollins?
Exactly. And here's the funny thing too. And I go back and I think about that. You mentioned the words there, monster, and, take it or leave it. Go back to Goldberg's run in WCW. You want a monster, that's how you do it.
Right.
The whole point of being unbeatable, that's it. And, like you just said with the Fiend, which unfortunately was already kind of tainted due to his, you know, like you said, going back and forth with how they treated him character wise. But even just as Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, they, they put that carrot on the stick for him, but then they always pulled it back every time. He never really had this like momentum to be the Goldberg, to be that monster. Um, they can try that with him now, but I'm not going to believe it. You
Right.
know, and it's a shame because I really like him.
Yeah, I love everything that they've or that he has been involved with. I haven't loved how they've pulled everything off, but
No,
you put Bray Wyatt on my screen, I'm watching every single time. You've got my attention. What you do with him once he's on the screen is going to tell me whether or not I enjoyed what I watched.
yeah, no, I 100%. I don't know. And it's not. Yeah, it's obviously not him.
Right.
It's exactly what you said. It's everything around him. It's the storylines they put him in. It's these different things, and it's just a shame. And what's even worse is that you take somebody like Finn Balor, who I love the Demon character, but I also like his work just as Finn Balor. He works out so well moving back to NXT in that regard, and he's been there
Right.
for several months now, almost a year, I guess. It's been a long time, but think trying to do that to the Fiend or Bray Wyatt, that's not going to work.
No.
So he has to stay on a main brand, like a Raw or SmackDown to work as the way the character is. I don't know. His character works if they're still on the Sci-Fi Channel to me.
Yeah, he could be fighting the ECW zombie and
Yeah,
Kevin
it's a
Thorne
shame.
as a vampire and you know
To me, it's a real shame, and I completely agree. I love supernatural characters. We grew up with the Undertaker, some other just random people that just kind of very.
Papa Shango.
Yeah, exactly. But they were all, not all of them, but they were, for the most part, you could suspend that disbelief to enjoy the entertainment.
Right.
I don't know that I'm there with this version of. It's almost like he needs to completely reinvent himself again, um, kind of like Mankind. To me, that's the only way that's going to work.
That would actually be an interesting way to go for him. I would like to see I'd like to see that fleshed out a little bit. Have him kind of as which they've kind of started to explore a little bit, like the split personality thing, but I would like to see it go like full psychotic break.
Right. He just needs
And
more defined characters. Like he does have the happy-go-lucky, the TV show host type gimmicky thing, and then he does have like his gym character. Then you go back to the actual Bray Wyatt stuff, and then the Fiend, and then whatever this thing that came up out of the ring tonight.
monster.
Yeah, exactly. Which is hysterical because obviously, you know, we 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 were going to talk about some of these bad horror movies, and I put a note on this match, and it's like, well, speaking of bad horror movies,
Yep. Which, if you've never heard of Monster, we will be getting to that, and
yes.
you're going to get a full explanation on that, and you'll understand.
So so I watched that match, and then the only other match I watched from Fastlane was the main event, which, by and large, good match.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and I'm sure you saw the same thing, you can have this match going into this 10 different ways. Roman Reigns is not losing.
Right.
There's no
And
way.
that's the thing. Like, I mean, we go in, we watch it, we know what to expect. We've been watching wrestling for so long. We know what to expect, and we know that, you know, and honestly, for the good of the storyline, for the good of the character building, for the good of building towards the important match at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns can't lose this match.
Right.
Now, I love Daniel Bryan. I love Edge. I'm coming around on Roman Reigns. Um, but if me speaking from my fandom were to book this, and just my fandom, Daniel Bryan wins. Daniel Bryan goes on to WrestleMania, wins the championship. But that's not what they're going to do.
Right.
It's either going to go the fan service way of having Edge win at WrestleMania, or it's going to go the story building way, which I think it should. As cool as it would be to see Edge win the Universal Championship after being out for so long and thinking he's never going to wrestle again, it would be detrimental to the WWE and their future storytelling and their character building to have Roman Reigns lose this belt. I
Right.
think
Right.
what I would honestly like to see, and it's been talked about on Talking Smack, and it's been talked about on on TV, is Roman Reigns keeps this title until WrestleMania next year, and then Big E Langston steps up to the plate and takes him out.
That would be nice. I do like Big E, and I would love to see him, make his epic jump to the top of the food chain. You could see the slow climb there. He's been given the push here and there, but such the good, long, nice run with New Day, that it is more than past his time. I love that, seeing that there, that take anyway, because I'm a huge Big E fan. I've been a Big E fan for a long time, and that was prior to his, like, even with his antics with the New Day,
Yeah, when he was
when
the
he was Big
5
E
count in
Langston,
NXT.
yeah. And the crazy thing is, it's like, I watched the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns match, and then you read some of the things, and it's like, oh yeah, they're prepping for a triple threat match between Bryan and Edge and Reigns, and it's like, I don't really see that. I see some kind of, like, blow off before Mania with Edge and Bryan, uh, where Edge goes over on top, leading to the obviously the main event at WrestleMania. And whether and which way that goes, I would assume, uh, they don't put the strap on Edge, but I don't know.
Right.
Edge kind of went full rated R tonight, um, with the chair shots of both Reigns and Bryan. So it's interesting. I don't know that. I don't know. I really think that Reigns and Edge have a good match at WrestleMania. My heart wants to see Bryan included, but for booking purposes, I I can't see it at Mania.
Right.
You know,
I think what they'll end up doing is they're gonna run this course. It'll be Reigns versus Edge. Edge is gonna be set up to win. Bryan's gonna interfere and cause Edge to lose the title, and then going forward from WrestleMania on for however long, it's gonna be the lead up of Edge versus Daniel Bryan, with the blow off being at SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, yeah, that would make sense. And then that's the other thing. So I know you and I have talked about this a little bit, and they've mentioned it several times over, and I've seen it mentioned on articles here and there. Daniel Bryan, isn't going to let it be around much longer. Um, so I can certainly see, you know, that would be a nice feather in his cap too. Just a match with Edge.
Yeah.
SummerSlam would be good. I don't see them lasting out till next WrestleMania.
No, and that could be, it could be that, loser retires.
Yeah. That's. I mean, man, are you in creative?
I feel like I should be, but I feel like, Vince is looking for, he's too busy looking at Urban Dictionary for names for members for frickin' Retribution, than
Yeah,
looking for
we
actual
talked
writers.
about that. Yeah, it's Slapjack, Lugnut,
Lumpkin.
Mantar.
That's such good shit, pal. He's
It's
on there. Next one that's gonna come out is Alabama Hot Pocket.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Cleveland Steamer on the way.
The
That's actually when
it's what the
the
kids
movie
are
came
these
out.
into these days.
Yeah, that's let's see what the kids are into, pal. But
Yeah, let's just pull up Urban Dictionary. Here it is.
that's what he's going to do, though, man. The Miz is going to join Retribution as the new leader, and his name's going to be Cleveland Steamer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it works. I mean,
Oh, totally,
it works.
totally.
It's a shame because, again, you actually have another viable group, um, much like Sanity and some others that just, man, they just don't know how to use them at all.
Well, that's what you meant. So on the pre-show, Riddle went against Mustafa Ali and lost, and Ali was in the ring berating everybody, and they all walked off.
Yeah, and Ali doesn't need that group.
No.
He's a very, I loved him just watching the his cruiserweight work. Just a fantastic wrestler and a fantastic background too on his story
Oh
in
yeah,
real
dude.
life. But
And he's good on
he,
the mic too. Like he
yeah,
literally got everything that WWE needs except for the size.
right, and and I think he was put with that group to either bump them up or just give him to do something. I don't know, because he's obviously not, unfortunately, just not going to be the upper top talent ever,
Which is a
in the
shame.
WWE. Yeah, exactly. And I know, I figured we would, obviously transition at the end of this into horror movies, but you had included another note here on our run sheet here. Hey, look at that. That sounds professional, doesn't it?
Oh my God.
But talent leaving the WWE, my goodness, could you not see him leaving?
Oh yeah.
Because what is he really doing? And my gosh, he's just oof.
Honestly, that's the thing, man. They've gotten so big, they've got so much time to fill, and they've just swallowed up all of these wrestlers, and they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
these guys are leaving, and these girls are leaving, and they're going to, Impact was always there, but Impact was never really a big deal, at least in my eyes. It certainly had its fans. It made stars
Yeah.
out of Samoa Joe, out of
Impact.
AJ
Yeah.
Styles, but it was never really a viable contender.
Right. Right. Impact had
Now,
it was cool because Impact did have its like you just said, there's people that it was, but they would occasionally bring back in the people that really had nothing going,
right.
so I loved when whenever they would kind of harness the old ECW energy a little bit.
Yeah.
I did like that. So
Well, and that's the thing. Like Impact, I mean, they were always a home for like you said, the ECW guys. Tommy Dreamer had a home there.
yes,
Rhino had a home there, and
yes,
and they still do. And it's great that they were there. I just wish they would have had better exposure. And I don't know how much of it was lack of exposure. I don't know how much of it was, just not being run right. But I feel like if they would have been put in AEW's shoes, if they would have been able to get on TNT or TBS, I feel like they probably would have done a heck of a lot better. Um, but sadly, they were saddled with, well, honestly, what channel are they on now? Because I still don't
uh,
even know.
it's a good question. I honestly don't know either. But you know what? That's the wonderful thing about the internet here. Let's see what channel they're on.
Because honestly, with all the stuff they've been doing with AEW with the crossover stuff, which I think is fantastic, I'm into them. I want to see what they're doing, and right now I'm just seeing stuff on YouTube, but I really would like to tune in.
So Impact is on AXS TV.
Oh,
So there you go.
cool. Well, I'll have to figure out how in the blue hell you watch that because
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's not on Hulu.
yeah, well, and that's the thing too is now with everybody cutting the cord and everything, like I don't have cable. I watch whatever I can watch, on YouTube or Kara was nice enough to share her Comcast login, but I can't. Funny enough, you can't watch AEW if you're not in your home zip code with Comcast Online.
Really?
Yeah, they
Wow.
consider it like a sport. So they make you like, you know how like if the Phillies were playing, um, whoever, and you were logged into the Philly area Comcast, you can't watch the Phillies game if you're
Wow.
outside
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah. It's kind of, yeah, it's like the
like the
regional restrictions or whatever.
geofencing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So they do that with with AEW as well.
Huh. That's weird. You know, it's funny. So I've been doing the Hulu Live thing, so it's pretty pricey for what it is, for a while. But I bundle it too with like Disney Plus and ESPN Plus, so it does like, kind of knock down some of the cost. But the funny thing is, last couple weeks I've been trying to watch Hulu Live like on my phone, which is what I normally do, and I cast it to TV.
Mhm.
It doesn't work. I have to use my laptop.
Really?
And yeah, and I've uninstalled the app. I've done everything, and and I know I need to probably contact customer service, but I'm just not really to that point because it's like every other day I'm trying to watch something, and I get like for example, I was trying to watch the some of the NCAA tournament games, and I go to my phone. It's like, this is not part of your subscription. I'm like, but I pay for the whole thing,
Right.
like literally everything. Like, what do you mean it's not part of my subscription? But I pull out my laptop, works just fine.
That's so weird.
But and I gotta make a mention here. Um, I watched the North Texas game, or the end of it anyway, on Friday, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but the announcer, I was like, my God, that's Tom McCarthy.
No,
It
really?
was the coolest thing, yeah, and then I looked it up, and yeah, apparently Tom McCarthy apparently calls like random college ball games and NFL games and other things here and there.
Huh.
Yeah, so like he also called the Oklahoma, Arkansas. I don't know. I'm probably saying the teams wrong because I didn't watch it. No, Missouri. It was Oklahoma, Missouri,
Okay.
and he called that last night. So apparently he's calling games during the tournament, and I was like, I'm not a huge basketball fan, but like I'll watch just to hear him call it. And which is funny because I was never a huge Tom McCarthy fan,
Right.
but like a lot of that came from the fact that we had lost Harry Callis, and you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
it took a long time for him to grow on me. And I really respect his work. And he did a tremendous job calling the North Texas win. It was fun. It was like, it was almost like watching the Phillies pull off an upset. It was cool.
That's cool. That is cool. And speaking of Philly sports, real quick, I just got the notification the Sixers beat the Knicks in overtime, which means they swept the season series against the Knicks. So,
Wow. That's awesome.
yeah,
I'll
dude,
tell you what, man.
what a great team they're turning out to be.
Yeah. And it was funny too, because everyone kind of dumping on the trust the process thing.
Right.
Well,
What? Hey, listen, for what it's worth, now obviously I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I follow the Sixers because they're a Philly team, and I was actually a believer in the process. So I'm gonna break my arm, pat myself on the back on that one.
yeah, no, I, I fully was committed to what they were doing. But again, I'm not a big NBA fan at all. No, no, I have no qualms about saying that. I do like basketball. I would like, if I'm watching it, I'm watching more college than anything else. Uh, but following along there with what they did to build that, man, such a great job.
Right. And then of course Sam Hinkie gets run out of town on a rail by the NBA, and they make us hire the Colangelos and everything, and it was a mess. But
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of reminded me of. Let's see if see if you agree here or not. So when the Phillies won the World Series, obviously Ruben Amaro Jr. was the GM in '08,
uh,
but the guy that built that team was Ed Wade,
well,
and
well, in
Ed Wade got
between, but don't
run. He
forget
got
in
run out
between.
too.
Yeah, but don't forget also Pat Gillick.
Oh yeah. Well,
Pat Gillick was actually the GM when they won,
oh, that's
and
right.
then
That's right. That's right.
he retired after they won, and then
He
that's
was
when
yeah, that's right. Ruben was like an assistant to him, wasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
ruined
yeah. That's right.
ruined Tomorrow Jr.
I always put Ruben there because of all the trouble that he made afterward, And I always felt, and to me, honestly, the reason why I forgot about Pat Gillick being there as the GM, but the reason why I always put Ruben there is because to me, he he dumped that team so bad, um, that it was like that he was able to, like, hey, look what I sort of did, and you know what I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and then just took it and trashed it, so I don't know.
Well, what
It's
does it say about Rube when what was he? He was last working for, I think last year he worked for the Red Sox, or 2 years ago he worked for the Red Sox, and now he's calling games for the Phils.
yeah, it's funny. It's a good turnaround for him, and I think the thing that really sticks in my head is the reason why, uh, that I think he captured all that glory was because, you know he had that, uh, he was what, assistant or special assistant to the GM, whatever he was, um, for like 10 years,
Yeah.
uh, prior to that. So I just, and again, I forgot about the Gillick thing, but it's to me, it's like, to me, the team was built by Ed Wade. Ed Wade gets run out of town in a very similar fashion to kind of what happened to the Sixers, and look what's happening there. It's
Yeah.
just, it's funny. It's funny.
No, and that makes sense too. I never really thought about that. I always just gave credit to Pat Gillick for kind of patching things together, but that makes a good point. Without the building blocks that Ed Wade put in place, you don't have Charlie Manuel's not there. He hired Charlie Manuel, you know.
Yep.
He hired
Yep.
Uncle Charlie. If we don't have Uncle Charlie, who knows if we get what we got out of the team. He's the one that he was responsible for drafting Chase and Jimmy and Ryan Howard and
Yep.
Cole
Exactly. That's that.
Hamels.
Yep. Exactly. That's why I always think, to me, the '08 team, and I'm only an Ed Wade fan because, I actually met him a couple times, several times. He would come into Pittman Sunoco.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, yeah. So, that's some more stories for another day. But, just knowing all that background work, like, yeah, to me, that was his team. And, so, all right, enough about the '08 Phillies
Yeah, let's
and sports in general. Let's talk about some crappy horror movies.
yes. So what brought this on was I was on Joe Blow, the website that you and I were talking about before the show. And it's also the site that brought to my attention the Kentucky cocaine bear, which apparently this was a real thing in 1985. Um, this bear, it was a 175-pound black bear, consumed the contents of a duffel bag filled with over 70 pounds of cocaine that was dropped from an airplane by a local drug smuggler. They later found the bear dead of an apparent drug overdose. Well, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, you eat
Um,
almost half your weight in cocaine.
yeah, it's probably not gonna end well for you. You're either gonna lose a lot of weight and get a lot done before your heart explodes, or your heart's just gonna explode. Um, but so this is going to be turned into a movie titled Cocaine Bear, directed by Elizabeth Banks.
So the minute you said that, I was like, I'm in, because I love everything she does. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I come to find out, like, I'm thinking, okay, this was like a cute story. Well, I mean, it's not cute story, but like, this is a funny anecdote, and they're taking it, making a movie out of it. But if you Google Cocaine Bear, Kentucky, there's like so many websites with stories and pictures. The picture, this one's calling him Pablo Escobar. And like, these stories are fantastic. And then the pictures, like, they have a stuffed bear with a sideways trucker cap and a sign that says Cocaine Bear, and it's got like the whole story and stuff. Like, this thing is a tourist attraction, man. And this is in your neck of the woods. I mean, Kentucky's a big state. I don't know where in Kentucky this Pablo Escobar is, but but that's fantastic. And so in digging around on this site, I saw some stuff. I saw some a trailer for a movie called Psycho Gorman. Um, and with a title like that, you've got to look into it.
I was wondering where you hit upon that, because I noticed you tweeted about it a couple times and whatnot, and I was like, what is this thing?
So like, all right, back when we lived in Jersey and Blockbuster was a thing. Um, I'd gone into the movie. I'd gone into Blockbuster. Were you with me at that time, or was I with Ewan?
Dude, that's a lot of beers ago.
Yeah, in any event, so I leave Blockbuster with this movie called Monster, and this movie was, God, it was bad, but it was so bad it's good. I don't want to put it. You put in notes about Roger Corman and the trauma, or not the trauma movies. That was oh bloody hell, it's gonna bug the hell out of me. But you would put in Roger Corman movies, and not his level. But it was this dude was a killer, and um he got trapped in a nuclear something or another in a sewer,
Yeah, it was in a sewer. Yeah.
and he turned into a giant monster turd,
Yeah.
and he could come up through the toilets and stuff. And this is what Bray Wyatt's hand looked like coming out of the ring tonight. It
Yes,
looked like Monster's
exactly,
hand reaching out
exactly.
of the
See,
toilet.
folks, we told you it would all come back around.
See, and that's the thing. It all comes. It's all cyclical.
Yep.
But it was so bad. And the one thing that always will stick out in my mind was there was a scene in a diner, and I think you remember this scene. Um, like the sheriff or the deputy or whoever is talking to one of the waitresses, and he tells her he's gonna glaze her face like a donut.
Yeah. Yep.
And
And it's so funny because I always, it's funny too because I always forget that it comes from that movie.
yeah. And so, that was obviously Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, that kind of stuff was the first stuff I saw. This was the first one that was, I couldn't tell if it was trying to be a serious movie and it was just terrible, or what the deal was.
Yeah.
It was,
So like I put the Roger Corman note, and I actually, was after thinking about that, was kind of wrong in my um, recollection of things. But my parents would watch, a lot of the Mystery Science Theater 3000 stuff.
yes.
But then prior to even that, um, you know, uh, not all the time, but like every once in a while, they have this like one of these bizarre movies on. And I mean, because bad horror movies, this stuff goes back for
Oh
years.
yeah.
And so, like, do you remember Night of the Lepus?
Yes.
About
The,
the
the
giant bunny
giant
rabbits?
bunny.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Or there's another couple good ones. There's one called Kingdom of the Spiders. William Shatner's in that one.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. That's like 77, 78 time frame.
Oh, and by
Um,
the way, the director I was thinking of was Lloyd Kaufman
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
with
yeah,
all the
yeah.
trauma movies.
Yep, yep. Actually, that's funny. If you have not seen it, last blockbuster on Netflix, and
Yeah.
and Lloyd Kaufman's in it.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's, and Kevin Smith is actually the not the only announcer on it, but yeah, he's in it too.
Okay.
Definitely worth watch. Last blockbuster. So anyway, I'll stop plugging something I'm not involved with. Um, but no, so but I got to think about Night of the Lepus and the Kingdom of the Spiders, and then Ants was another one.
Okay.
And there's
Not the
these
animated one
no, no,
with
no,
Woody
no, no,
Harrelson, right?
no. These are these 1970s really bizarre, over the top, but not like monster level where it's
Okay.
like comedic. Like some of these movies are trying to be serious.
Okay. All right.
And but they're so bad, but they're kind of watchable.
Hey, did you know, speaking of these, and this one's not in the notes, but this is something I found out the other day. Did you know that The Blob was based off of a true story?
I did not know that.
So here's the deal. So there's this stuff called space jelly or star jelly or something like that that apparently in Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly, in like the 40s or something like that, this police officer came across this pile of they called it star jelly. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know where it came from. And it was like pulsating. And when he touched it, it moved like away from him and then shrank and disappeared.
Really?
And scientists have noticed this stuff all over the world for years and years and years. They still don't know where it comes from or what it actually is.
Huh.
Yeah. So that was it.
Wow.
That was an interesting little bit of
That's
information I
cool.
picked up.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, that's another one too. I remember because, gosh, the Blob dates back to the 50s.
Yeah.
And that's again, campy is all get out, but I've seen it. Gosh, it's been a long, long time. But it's funny, if it weren't for those movies, you wouldn't have some of these other really goofy ones. And I know some of the ones that you've listed out here. Um, you know, you wouldn't have those if it weren't for things like that. And I don't know that it's hard to watch some of the older, particularly 50s through 70s. I really don't know of any campy horror in the 60s, to be honest with you.
Oh, no. You're missing a fantastic one from the 60s. Well, I mean, it could be from the 70s, but if memory serves me, it's from the 60s. You're missing oh, what the hell was it called? Reefer Madness.
I thought Reefer Madness went back to like the 30s.
No, was it?
Yeah. Well, 1936.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Wow. way, way, way wrong. All right, that explains so much.
Yeah. No, I knew that's one of those like outliers. I always think the same thing. I'm like, but the original Reefer Madness, yeah, it was 1936.
Good God.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It took me like dude. When I found that out, I was like, what? But but those movies, like, they set the table for even the ability to make some of these crazy ones, and Monster just scratches the surface.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you've listed out some other ones here that I'm not even aware of, but I need to start going and watching. So
All right. So, like, this is just so the first two I'm going to mention were ones that I remember from when I worked at Game Crazy in Hollywood Video. And I used to just, when I would get bored, I would walk out of Game Crazy and into Hollywood Video and just walk around and look at different movies and stuff. Like, and they had Ankle Biters, which was about vampires that were also little people. And they had one called Black Sheep, which is not the one with Chris Farley.
Okay, I was making sure there. I saw that and I was like, what?
No, it's not that one. It was about vampire sheep.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then there was one, I can't remember what it was, but it was like it was called Cracker Jacked. And it was about this like redneck zombie. And he went around killing people. But what got me thinking about all of these movies was Psycho Goreman. So I was on Joe Blow learning about Cocaine Bear, Pablo Escobar. And so I found Psycho Goreman. I'm like, all right, I got to check this out. I got to see what this is all about. And so the story is it's a brother and a sister are digging in their backyard. I'm not going to spoil too many plot points, but because I want people to watch this movie. It's worth it. And they find this coffin type thing, and there's this glowing gem on top. And so they take the glowing gem and they go inside and they're like, well, all right, we're just going to go to bed. And the next day, this monster has gotten out of this crypt. It was being kept in there by this gem, and it's gone and it's killed some people, and then it finds them, and it goes on about their whole story. And basically, this little girl now controls this demonic monster with untold power because she has this gem. It's not scary. It's very tongue-in-cheek and very funny. You can tell that everybody had an awesome time making the movie. I will say the little girl, like I'm so torn on whether I love the character. I love the way that she played it. And I think that she played it the way that she needed to and the way that she was probably directed. Um, but she's such a little a-hole the whole movie. You just like I'm not for violence against women or children, but good God, I wanted somebody to just like shove her into traffic. But it was fantastic. I loved it. Highly
That's a good
recommend
part
watching
about those
it.
types of things, though. It's like you have a character that you have that, like you said, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to feel, but I mean, it sounds like it made you feel one way or the other, and that's exactly the way it should be.
Right,
You really want to hate this person, or you really want to like this person, and that's how these films should be. It's like, because that's what keeps your interest.
right. So and then when before I watched the movie, there were a bunch of trailers on the disc because I bought the physical Blu-ray copy of the movie. I
Wow,
was like, you know
nice.
what, I'm not gonna because I think it was like $10 or $15 to rent it on Amazon, and for like $15 you could get the Blu-ray. I'm like, well, screw it, I'm just gonna buy the Blu-ray. Then I at least, if nothing else, I have an interesting entry into the collection. So I'm watching the trailers beforehand, and I've put the four that stuck out. And I'm pretty sure that it was actually just these four trailers on the disc, but of these movies, I've tried to find them. Two of them I found. One of them was $5, and so that was a no brainer. The other one was like 8, so I bought that too. The other Wolf Cop you can't find on or you can find on Blu-ray, but I didn't want to buy it because I can watch it on Amazon for free. And The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot, starring none other than Sam Elliott.
Yeah, and
So
I've actually heard about that. I've heard the title anyway, but I didn't realize Sam Elliott was in it.
yeah, so Sam Elliott, oh my God, this movie. First of all, apparently it's been out for a while, and some kind of cult classic because it's ridiculously expensive for the Blu-ray, even the DVD. Now,
Hmm.
luckily, it is on Amazon and it's free to watch, I think, until March 31st or something like that if you have Prime. Um, but that movie looks great. It's basically Sam Elliott uh, plays just a guy that keeps to himself and he's quiet, and then the government comes and finds him because apparently during World War II he got into Hitler's bunker and killed him, and now they need him to take care of Bigfoot. So I mean, the title tells you everything you need to know
Yeah,
about the movie.
exactly. Well, I kind
Sam
of
Elliott,
figured that's what it was about, but
right? You don't get, I mean, it doesn't get much more, straight to the point than that, aside from Snakes on a Plane.
no, true. Good point.
So, um, so the other movies that stuck out to me were Wolf Cop, which I mentioned, which is a drunk cop becomes a werewolf and then does his cop stuff as a werewolf. Um, and that apparently that spawned a sequel. So that one had to have had some kind of following. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Um, the other two are really interesting though, and I wanted to kind of get your feelings on these ones. And these ones they both just got delivered from Amazon today. The first one is Spree. So Spree kind of takes a couple different things and lampoons them, but also ties them together and kind of makes you think a little bit. So with Spree, this guy is like an Uber driver, and he's trying to increase his online presence in social media. So what he does is basically he's got, I guess, the the movie's equivalent of TikTok or whatever, social media, and he films his Uber drives.
Right.
Well, he gets the idea that he's going to start killing them.
Mm.
And so he's building his social media presence by killing his riders and doing it in horrifying ways. Um, and I forget who was in the trailer, but there was a couple like celebrity types in the trailer that known people, and it made it look really interesting. So I grabbed that one. I'm gonna have to give that one a watch, and I'll give a review of it later. Um, but that one looked pretty interesting. And then the other one that I ended up grabbing was called Arizona. And
Yeah, you listed out the cast on this, and I was like, "What?"
yeah, so this one actually came out in 2017. I don't know how it didn't hit theaters. So it's like a horror comedy. Um, Danny McBride is some famous golfer in Arizona, and he's selling his house, and somehow there's some kind of hijinks, and he ends up kidnapping the realtor, and they end up he ends up killing somebody by accident, blowing somebody up, and there's other people involved, and it's just nutty. But it's Danny McBride, it's David Arquette, it's Caitlin Olsen, and there's somebody else that's in it too that's famous, and I'm blanking on it, and I forgot to put their name down, but it looks super interesting, and I don't understand how this thing wasn't more of a hit and didn't make it to the movie theaters.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Uh, you have a lot of good actors there. I don't know. Who knows? It just maybe you know bad
Oh, you know
timing,
what? I
wrong
think I
studio.
I think I screwed up. So, all right, David Arquette is in Spree, I believe.
Oh, gotcha,
David Allen Greer is in Arizona,
gotcha.
and so is Luke Wilson.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. So, and that's just the main cast, but you've got all these good actors and actresses in it, and I'm cracking up like reading it or seeing the trailer and everything, and just looking at these trailers, I was like, how have these movies not obviously Wolf Cop I didn't think would be in theaters, but these other movies, I'm like, Spree is something I could see people actually going to pay and see in movie theaters, and obviously 2020 probably put a damper on that because that actually came out in 2020. That was
Yeah,
probably supposed to
that's
be,
probably why.
but
You know,
Arizona came out in 2017. How was that not in theaters?
yeah, I don't know. Maybe like I said, timing or studio or just something. And uh, you know, I, I don't know. It's always it was always interesting to me to see sometimes like these movies that uh, I've always loved that even if they hit the theater, uh, you know, watch them grow like way more after their theater hit. Like Office Space is a great example, and I always bring that up because I saw that in the theater, and I don't know that many people that actually did. Um, and then another one that always sticks in my head was that I also saw SLC Punk in the theater, and from my recollection, there were only 3 theaters in Jersey that were even playing it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so you have these like movies that I love and cherish, but they just didn't have much of a release for whatever reason. Now, yes, SLC Pump, I can understand why it didn't.
Right.
Um, Office Space, yeah, it had a big release, or at least more open and wide. But I really, to this day, there's not too many people that I've run into that actually saw it in the theater. That
Yeah.
movie grew way more after it hit DVD.
So speaking, it's funny that you mentioned Office Space because you know um, who plays the FBI agent that comes to meet with Sam
Oh,
Elliott.
Peter,
Yep.
I knew it.
Yep.
He's
Ron
he's got
Livingston
FBI.
himself.
Yeah, he's got FBI agent written all over him.
Yep. And so the man who killed Hitler and then the Bigfoot was actually released in 2018.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah. And that's another
Yeah.
one, like who knew that that was even a movie until it, it just pops up. It happens to pop up at the right time. Um, but yeah, no, I agree with you. Like I went and saw in 2019, in October 2019, I went and saw a double feature. It was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back
Mm-hmm.
and Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Reboot. Yep.
And when Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, when that came out, I never got to see that in the theater because I was at basic training and tech school, and
Oh yeah, yeah. And I remember seeing it in the theaters. Like
yeah,
wow. Yeah.
I
Huh.
had to wait till it came out on DVD. Um, And I love that movie, but this was the first time I got to see that because honestly, like it was in the theater I think for a month before, and by the time I got home, it was already out. It was
Right.
out of theaters, it was gone, it was, and I was just kind of screwed. But like that was I'm sure there's people out there that have no idea that Jay and Silent Bob Reboot came out.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. It wasn't for either talking to you or um, just almost stumbling across it because I didn't watch it until it was streaming. Um, and there, the one theater we have around here would have never entertained it in the first place. But yeah, I had the Reboot. I had to watch streaming. So yeah, I don't know. It's funny the movies that you like, and you were talking about it, that you would think, yeah, this would have a lot more of a presence. And I don't know. I just think a lot of it's like timing or just studios or advertisement, or just frankly, it kind of, I guess it boils down to money
Yeah.
on some of those things. But some of those movies that don't make it, man, they're so good. Maybe not some of these bad horror movies,
Yeah, I mean,
but
I can't really see Wolf Cop doing gangbusters at the movie theaters.
no, no.
Um, but I think it's going to be a lot. See, I'm kind of torn. Part of me says it's going to be a lot easier for people to get movies made post COVID when the movie theaters open back up because people are going to be so desperate to go out and do anything.
Hmm.
But part of me says that the theaters that did survive are going to be kind of picky about what they put in because they're going to want to do like when Black Widow comes out. They're going to have probably 6 or 7 screens of an 8 theater or an 8 screen theater showing that because they know that's going to make money versus something like Arizona, which, typically R-rated comedies don't do well.
Right.
So maybe that's why Arizona went straight to Blu-ray or DVD or streaming or whatever it went to. Um, Simply because there's certain parameters of movies that make money and movies that don't.
Yeah, yeah,
But you
yeah.
would think
And
putting together that kind of a cast would be enough to get an R-rated comedy into a theater.
right.
um, but it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how they do that, with how they allocate the screens.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's a good question. I was just wonder, like I said, we had the one theater here. It's just down the road from our house, and I was just wonder, like, what's even playing, because I don't pay attention. I really don't. I have no
Right.
idea. We prior to COVID, I had stopped anyway, really going too much of anything, just kids and all, and what we would go to was kids movie. So it just one of those things I just kind of, hey, it's still open.
Yeah.
That's about it. It's just, that's sad. That's what it is for us now. The one cool thing is we do have around here. We do have a drive-in, which about 30 minutes from the house, and they do the ones that have been out for a month. And it's always double features and stuff. So that's kind of cool. And I've thought about this a lot actually. I could see that making such a huge comeback,
Oh, dude,
um,
yes.
because of just you're distanced, you're in your own space. It there's not a whole lot that can go wrong. So
Right.
I could see that making a thing. But then again, it's like, yeah, I have this really cool experience in my car with this gigantic screen, and then yeah, you can just go to Best Buy and buy yourself like a 90-inch TV.
Yeah,
So
that's true. I mean, I'll say though, I went I actually went on a date to the drive-in off of Delsey Drive back home in Jersey, and it was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool to go to the movies and watch it like that, and it was a double feature. It was Wedding Crashers and what was that? What was that? Brothers Grimm with
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Matt
With
Damon and
yeah.
yeah. So that
Yep.
was those were the two movies. It's an odd pairing, um, but it was a cool experience. I mean, that's the thing. Like you said, you can get a big screen at home, and do all that. But there's something to be said for that theater experience.
Right. And that's the whole thing. I think that's at the end of the day, money's going to be made. Yeah, they're going to do, oh, yeah, well, this pop movie's coming out. We're going to do it on 75 to 90% of our screens, blah, 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 whatever. At the end of the day, it's going to be an experience thing. That's what's
Yeah.
going to change. Whether it's going to be a drive-in theater or they're going to have, the we're gonna cut out half our seats, but we're going to make it more like a dine-in experience, like those Alamo theater house type deals, where you can get drinks and all that sort of thing.
Which you saw those went under, right?
Uh, oh, did they really? Huh.
Yeah, they shut them down.
Huh.
They
Wow.
I guess they lost so much revenue due to COVID that they ended up ceasing.
Yeah, I just wonder if something like that would come back and, you know, because to me, you could still make money lowering the people, but then offering, you know, something like that.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
After this is all not said and done, but we kind of move on with from it, and I don't know. There's I guess different ideas with how things could all go with it, but yeah, no, this was cool, man. We went from fast lane to bad horror movies to some video game glitches, and
Yeah.
we'll have to hone in on some more ideas for the next one. But no, this was fun. Maybe we could sit down and do a watch along on one of these or something.
Oh, dude, absolutely. We'll have to. Well, maybe we can even figure out a way to stream it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That'd be
That
fun.
would be cool.
Yeah, get some more people involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You'll have probably one listener, because I'll probably go back and listen to this.
Well, yeah, I figure we might have one or two listeners. But at this point, man, we'll just keep on building it from here. So
Yeah, exactly. But now it's been fun. Let's I'm not gonna tease out anything. It's funny. I do these for work, and gosh, we're looking at it. It's like we've done like 30 some odd episodes in the course of like a year, and I essentially act as just the cue person. I'm just the questioner. I'm just the not the host, but
facilitator.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, we always want to like, oh, we're gonna update every week or every other week, and that sometimes just doesn't happen because life gets in the way. So I'd hate to put a timetable on this, but
Yeah.
we'll do
That's like
something here
well, it's like
soon.
we were gonna record last week, but I ended up getting pneumonia.
Yeah, man.
So
So I want to let everyone know that you're still alive because we just
yeah,
talked to you. So
I'm alive. So yeah, if you could tell people that I'm still alive, so they know it's not just my reanimated corpse, that would be fantastic.
yeah. So that's a spell in Skyrim, by the way.
Dude, I'm gonna have to play Skyrim. I'm gonna have to play because I don't know if I told you this or not, but the one time I tried to play, like I got it and I was super excited to play it, and it came with the Xbox that I'd gotten, and I went to play it, and I got through all the stuff. I made my guy, got into town. I went to save, and the freaking game glitched and froze,
Oh,
and I had to start
no.
over from nothing. And I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm done.
You're
And I
done.
haven't picked it up since. It was like 2014 or 20 whenever it came out, like
Yeah.
shortly after it came out, and I haven't touched it since. So
Now it's a fun one. It's I only revisited it because I was like, oh, they're gonna make another one, and then they said they're pushing it off, and it's like, oh, fine, I'll just pick it up. And I looked it up, and it actually came out in 2011.
Jesus. All right, so it probably wasn't 2011 so it wasn't right after it came out, but it wasn't that many years after it came out, and I tried it and gave up on it. So
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good one. If you would just want to waste away your hours, it's a good one.
all right,
All right.
man.
All right, man. Well, it's been fun. Let's do it again. And yeah, and as you mentioned at the top, I'll be here for the duration now. So,
All right. Well, thank you everybody who's listening, all two of you or three. But no, seriously, whoever listens, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
yep. Have a great night.